What up? What up? What up? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. Can you guys hear me? Let's see. All right. Let's do this. I got a lot going on this morning. Dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it. Oh, you can't even see me. Blessings. You can hear me, but you can't see me. All right, let's do this. Bliggity splow. Bam. All right. Thank you guys for being here, rocking with us another day, another show, another hour. Um, so today we're going to really dig into this amazing topic, um, collaboration versus the solo journey. Collaboration versus the solo journey, and it's going to be a pretty good conversation because I have a video I want to show, and it's about 6 minutes long. Um, and it's just kind of what kicked off this conversation for me, um, and it kind of stuck with me, and we kind of talked about this in various ways, um, and so good morning, Keita. Good morning, Lisa. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for sharing, because sharing is caring. And as always, or as usual, I gotta hit up my text community, and I seem to always forget before I go live to do that. Um, so, like I said, make sure you share, make sure you connect, make sure you are letting everybody know that the Brothers of Legacy are in the building, because we're having great conversation. It's also another conversation I'm going to have soon enough. This one's going to be probably deep and controversial, and it's going to be a little different than the previous conversations we've ever had. But yeah, I want you guys to definitely stay tuned for that. Um, let's see. Just another day. Hold on one second. Thank you guys for being patient with me. I was just sharing this real quick, making sure. Let's see. Uh, all right. All right. Bam. And thank you, my podcast people, for hanging out with us as well. Thank you for always supporting. Podcast is growing steady, and I love it. Um, Listen, if you're on here, please like and subscribe. I don't say that enough. Like and subscribe, um, because it helps with the growth of the channel as well as all of that and then some. All right, so I'm gonna show you a video from. Hopefully, it doesn't ding me on YouTube, from this company called Future. This gentleman's name is Chris. Don't ask me his last name because I can't remember. Um, and he speaks about his issues with collaborating or partnering up, with someone else in business. And this is it's pretty interesting, um, his take on it. So let's do this. Uh, let's add this. All right. So we can kind of dig into this conversation and kick it off. Let's see. He said, why I don't have a business partner.
I'm very biased when it comes to partnerships because
Hopefully you
I've
guys can
tried
hear
3
this.
times. I've not made it work, mostly because of my own personality. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about personality so you can map it to see if this advice should even be listened to. First part is I work like an animal. Like I work all the time. And not only do I work smart, I work super efficiently. So that means my output usually is 4 times somebody else. So what happens inevitably is comparison.
What's up, E?
What are you
Good
doing?
morning,
What
Mama
am I
Corey.
doing? And it's unrealistic for me to expect somebody to be that focused and that efficient and that productive. So after a while, resentment builds. Number 2, I have clear vision, but I'm loose on the tactics and I move really fast, like I said before. And so it can be at breakneck speed and you can get whiplash. You really can. I thought you said we're doing this. Nope, I'm doing that because it didn't work. I'm not committed to going down that path if it doesn't work. I let the feedback, the metrics tell me if this is working. And so that creates problems for everybody. Okay. And I think really, really big. I think so big that if you actually heard me tell you what's in my head, you would walk away from this table like, that is one crazy mofo. You would think that. You would think, what an arrogant, cocky. No, I don't think so. I wish more of us were, right? So when I tell you my vision, you get scared. And I don't have time to convince you. I don't have time for you to drag me back. I don't want you to dampen my enthusiasm with your dogma. And this happens all the time. So when I say we should do this, and you're like, no, that's not going to work. I'm like, now I got to have a conversation with you and try to convince you, right? When I say I want to change, you're like, well, let's write the 4-year business plan. Let's get a board of advisors. Are you kidding me? I don't want to do that. I move, and it's scary for a lot of people. So for me, the 3 partnerships that I've had have all failed. And it almost failed like from the minute we said, let's do it.
The minute.
Okay? So pros and cons. The pro, I'll go first because it's short. The pro is you feel somebody else does something that you don't do. Let's say somebody else is sales or production or animation or design, and you feel like it's a good partnership, right? And this is why most creatives team up with a business person, because
Right.
that works well. So they think. When you feel like you want to partner, realize there's a hole inside of you that you feel.
Yes.
It's like the Shel Silverstein book, The Missing Piece. Heidi ho, here I go. Have you seen my missing piece? So you feel like somebody is going to feel that. And this works with all kinds of human dynamics and relationships, like why you met your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband. They complete you. You've seen it, you've said it, you've heard it. You complete me because there's a hole. My interpretation of the hole is when you feel like you need a business person, the hole is telling you, go learn your freaking business. When you're not ready to do animation, go fill that hole by feeding yourself versus finding somebody. Because soon you'll realize that wasn't that hard. Why did I give all this up?
All right. So like you said, instead of just learning how to do it, you collaborate with somebody, which to me, in my mind, makes sense. Like find those that can't do, or that can do what you can't. And building a business or a partnership, to me, that makes sense. But like you said, there's a cost to that. There's a cost in sharing your direction. There's a cost in sharing your vision. And then, of course, everybody has their own personal agendas as well. And then, like you started off in the beginning, there's also the work ethic. Like, how do they work as opposed to how do you work? He also goes on to say, like, if you're single, you get with a married partner, there are other dynamics. Like, whereas, like he says, he works all the time, or he works a whole lot, so his personal times are more controlled. Hey, Willette, good morning. Good morning. His personal time is more controlled. So it is necessary that he takes, that he can control his time, because he doesn't have kids, doesn't have a wife, and things of that nature. But today I realized what I didn't do was do the intro, which is great because a partner just came in the building. So today, as we talk about collaboration versus the solo journey, I want you guys to kind of think about that. What does it look like? Having a partner in it, or doing it on your own. And like you said, learning as opposed to finding someone else that already does. But he also has some videos that Pastor spoke about as far as time and things of that nature. So it's kind of interesting. It's like paying for a vendor or bringing them in as a partner, which is more, equitable, what works better, because there's that as well. Because you can pay people, like I have a project. Hey, I need you to do this. I'm gonna pay you this. So I take what I have and pay certain vendors to do certain things that I'm not as skilled at. And it makes, for more an efficient project. or do you bring them in as a partner so we work together and it's all in one pot? Just a thought. All right, so we're going to dig into that today. It's going to be a wonderful conversation. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. I'm going to kick this intro off. Tad bit late with it, but it's right on time. All right, we'll be right back after this. All right, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. Oh, got you in the small screen. All right, let me switch this up. There we go. All right. Oh, so yeah. So like I said, today we are talking about collaboration versus the solo journey, mainly in the business sense. Ephraim said, "AD, would you consider a business person's wife or?" Oh man, it's good. Yeah, I can. Good. Your mic is good. Would you consider a business person's wife or husband an automatic partnership or collaboration? He said, would you consider a business person's wife or husband? So like me being married, any business I get into, she's automatically a partner. You're asking from that aspect, or are you asking from the aspect of me and Pastor connect together on a business project? Wife becomes part of this partnership as well, because he spoke. It's funny because he spoke about that as well. He was like, he said, now we don't have just two, we got three, because he's single. So because automatically, of course, if there's time and finance, there's gonna be an input from your spouse. It's just an automatic. It's just what it is. Either way, because even my wife gets into a partnership, depending on the levels of time and money, because it's going to take away from the home. It's going to be some time. It's going to be some money taken away. And so those conversations are going to come into play if it's affecting our budget, or if what we agreed upon goes over a certain threshold. Like, hey, I'm gonna need, like it's gonna take this, and like, okay, boom, 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 calculate, boom, 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 you can do that, and then she come back and like, it's gonna take a little more, So it's like, cause now it's like, for what? For why? Do we need? Can we get somebody else? Can we get something cheaper? Like, because then it's dependent on the area. Is it an expertise thing, or is it like, hey, social media? I know that. What is it? We can do something. I know somebody. Because now I'm an input, because this is taking more out of our household. So if you're saying in that case, I mean, I think in both cases they become some level of a partner. Because of the connection of everything you do, your winning and your failing is directly connected to your spouse. So they become, maybe not a vocal, constant vocal partner, but their input is going to come in at some part during the journey, regardless. They may not understand the inner workings of what you're doing, but they know this thing is affecting us. So yeah, so I think in that sense, yeah. But if you start off a business, especially the solo journey, let's talk about the solo journey. I think if you're married, she's part of that solo journey in a sense where, we both kind of know, like I know certain things and she's just going to know the business, if that makes sense. Good morning, Pastor.
Morning. Morning.
So what's your take on that one? What Ephraim asked, and I guess I'll just say from the perspective of having a business and she being a partner in that business, automatic partnership or collaboration.
Well, my wife is my partner in life.
Right.
So that makes her a beneficiary of anything that I'm doing.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily make her my business partner.
Indeed.
My wife is in real estate. I support her in every aspect of her real estate business,
Right.
but I couldn't go run her real estate business.
Right. 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 Right.
I
Right.
just couldn't do it.
Right.
Um, it's her business,
Right. That's good.
and she runs it. I am her partner in life. I encourage her. I support her.
Right.
I'll change toilets, you
Right.
know, and I
Right.
have done that. I've had to go out and work on property. I've had to go out. You've seen me do it.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
but it's her business.
Right. Right. So it's kind of like I'm more like I'm a employee kind of thing, like because could be with Sam and her events, like, all right, where you want to put this, where you want to put that, what you want to do with that, when we're gonna do this, you want to put that here, we'll carry that over there, like,
For me, I'm just her husband.
yeah, you're right. I'm just the husband,
and
right,
as
in
her
this
husband,
business.
I'm gonna support her in whatever way that I can. But that does
Right.
not necessarily. I mean, technically, I think what Ephraim. I'm not sure if I'm catching your question right, Ephraim.
Right.
But
Yeah,
you're
if
saying,
we are.
for me, that the partnership is with or without the business. So
Right.
does that mean I have signing authority? I don't. It was offered. I don't have signing authority.
Okay.
I was supposed to go to the bank, and I just never made it. It's just the truth,
Right.
because in my mind, that's her thing.
Yeah.
That's what she desired to do.
Yeah.
In ministry, not every pastor's wife is she's a first lady, but
Right.
that doesn't mean she was called to an evangelist.
Right. That's good. I'm glad you said that. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, because there's plenty of pastors out there whose wives I don't want in the prayer room. I mean, it would be nice to have. I mean, I'm saying,
No.
this is about your walk with the Lord,
right?
But
they're
not
into
necessarily
their
you're called to the work of the ministry.
Right.
And so a lot of that is not by default.
Right.
And too many people are doing it by default, and they're unhappy.
Right.
So
right.
And I told my wife, I'm like, I'd love to work for her. Let that business grow enough. I'll go to work for you.
Right.
I call her my retirement plan.
Right.
So I'm saying I don't agree that it's by default, but I do agree that as a husband and wife, you are no longer twain. You've become one. So there's an automatic partnership there.
Right.
And you are to support one another in whatever you do.
Right.
But just because you're the president doesn't mean by default I'm the vice president. No.
Right.
No.
That's good.
That's just and again, I just don't think that's the way that it's supposed to be, because just because you're connected, it's funny. If you're passionate about something and your partner is not as passionate as you are, that's a weak link.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not expecting everybody to be where I am, but I do expect you to feel the pull and the call and feel like you're properly positioned in this.
Right.
And in a lot of cases, that's not because you're my wife or because you're my husband.
Right.
Just doesn't work that way.
Right. And I think it's just I don't see what you see or the passion you have, but just I support you in wherever you're going and what you're trying to accomplish, and knowing, just having a clarity of direction of how things are going and things of that nature. I think, and that's I'm glad kind of Pastor brought that. I'm glad Ephraim kind of that has asked that question, the default position of your spouse. She can become partner and collaborator, especially like if I start something that plays to my strengths and then it plays to her strengths, we can literally build something together, if there's an actual collaboration partnership, but it doesn't set an automatic default. I get into something, she has to get into it. It's like, it's just more or less, I'm getting into it. Hey babe, this is what I'm doing, and when I'm rolling that, and I'll give you updates of how things are going. You check the account, like, oh, we're doing good at this. Oh, we're not doing so well. It's the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows, and she's there to encourage and to motivate, as well as I do the same for her, is encourage and motivate. Like, I know it's not a good season, babe, but just hang in there, and that's key. That's key. So going back to the collaboration or the solo journey, and like I said, this gentleman, company called Future, he's internet marketing or whatever, and I've watched a lot of videos of his, and this one was just interesting. Like he says, he's had 3 partnerships that didn't work out, and he said he knew it from the moment they agreed to do it that it wasn't going to work out. He also said. He said a lot of the issues are not ethic, but how I work. He said he works hard. So it's like, if I'm putting a lot in, you start comparing. You start looking, I'm putting in this. What is he or she putting in? So he said some of the struggles was that. He said he's had 3. He's now solo again. He has his own company, but as far as the head, it's just him. So I think I'm a total fan of collaboration, but it's those things that you have to consider, because we kind of spoke about this yesterday, but this is kind of drilling down into it in a more of a business sense. You do have to know who you're connecting to, and then is it a partnership collaboration, or is it just for this project, or are you just gonna give them a slice based on the project as a vendor? It's having the conversation. And we ended yesterday talking about expectations. Like, what's their expectation of this partnership? What's up, Mark? Good morning, sir.
Hey, bro.
Setting those expectations with your collaborations, and how what to expect. And I think when he began to talk about like him not being able to keep the partnerships or whatever, I think the expectation conversation may not have come into play. I'm gonna do this, you're gonna do this. And it like, even he said, it doesn't matter how we get there, as long as we get there. He said, I'm not hung up on technical. He said, I'm just want you to do the work. And I think having and knowing that, bro, I'm gonna get there. Like, I'm not hustling I don't work 12 hours a day. Like, it's not in my DNA. I'm gonna give you a hard 5 hours. I go nonstop. I don't eat. I don't even go to the bathroom. I'm gonna give you a hard 5 hours nonstop, and then I need to rest. But I'm gonna get the goals. Like, whatever goals we set, I'm gonna get to them. And if you see, I think when you see the results, you're like, well, he or she does get to the goal. They just do it in their way. I think do you feel like sometimes in collaborations, do you get caught up in the technical, like, man, you're not doing nothing today? He's like, don't worry. Don't worry, bro. I'm gonna get it.
Yeah.
It's
But I think that's just
go ahead.
knowing who you're connected to, understanding
Right.
who you're connected to, and
Right.
properly positioning people. Because that's one person will look at that and say that's not vision,
Right.
but that's why you're the visionary and they're not.
Right.
So it's all about positioning, knowing them that labor among you.
Yes.
Right. And having the proper expectations.
Right.
If you're a tactician, then you're not going to blend very well with someone who's loosely productive. They
Right.
may not do it tactically,
Right.
tactfully or tactically,
Yeah.
but they still accomplish the goal.
Right.
But if you're the kind of person who has to dot their I's and cross their T's, you need checkpoints,
Right.
you're not going to get along with that type of individual.
Right. That's good.
So it's all about understanding the type of relationship, the type of partnership, and setting good expectations. But it's also knowing who you're connected to. I mean, that's really it. Sometimes, I can't go if you're playing sports and Shaquille O'Neal is your point guard. How successful are you going to be?
Right.
He's a dominant basketball player, but
right.
he's not a point guard.
Right. What's up, Urban Country Dude?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right.
those are the things that you have to think about. And part of being a visionary is knowing how to properly place people.
Right.
You can put good people in a wrong position and the ship sinks.
Yeah. That's true.
You blame the person who's really good at what they do, but you just had them doing the wrong thing.
Ooh, that's good. Right. Really good at what they do, but they were doing the wrong thing. I don't do that. Said Jack did take Jordan before. Oh, so
Yeah, but
Cheryl
you can have a good move.
right,
You can even have a good game,
right,
but that doesn't equate to a great career.
right.
Woo! Woo! Allen Iverson took Jordan,
Yeah.
but does Allen Iverson have a ring?
Wow. Shots fired. Indeed. So yeah, it you know that positioning and knowing who you he said that's nice, sir. So yeah, it's definitely about that positioning, who you're dealing with, knowing who they are. It's funny because the same video, the same guy Future or the videos, and he was going into the scheduling and he was asking, I guess some of the staffers or people he's connected to, like what time to get up. Let's drill down what you do all day. And one of his staffers, or maybe somebody he's connected, said they get up at 10 o'clock. He said, "What time you say?" He said, "I was like 10 o'clock." I was heard it. I was like 10 o'clock. Like, who gets up at 10 o'clock? Like he said, man, and you know, the guy Chris was like, I haven't gotten up at 10 o'clock in decades. Like, you know, and he was just, but he goes from 10 to 2 in the morning, you know. So it's though there are those that just don't do mornings, but they can be up all night and be just productive. Like me, mornings by night, you know, my productivity is like, please don't make me make any real decisions after like 10 or 11 because it's not going to be a good one, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, because they, oh, and it's funny, like, and we talk about, you know, the different people and personalities, you know, because you always hear the success, you got to wake up early. You know, for some, they wake up too early, they ain't gonna get nothing done because they just,
Right.
you know, they're like this, they gotta get to that, and that's about 10 o'clock, you know. So we have to understand our partnerships, and like I said, having those positioning spaces and know what they're good at, you know what they can do. And I think that's what helps collaboration, you know, because most times was what is that Maya Angelou, you know, if someone tells you who they are, believe them. So they're like, listen, I'm a late owl, I'm not an early riser, you know, and this is what I'm good at. It's like we have to hear that. You know, we can't be trying to have 8 o'clock meetings because he said, I'm a late owl, I'm not an early riser. You know, I want you to do social media. I don't do social media, I do videography. You know, like you're meshing the two and knowing what someone's good at, knowing what someone can do. I think somebody, you know, in jobs, you know, they put you in positions just because you've done this so well. Let me move you over here. No, this is what I do. I can attempt this, you know, but you're not going to get the same level that you did over here. Ephraim said CEOs of corporate 500 companies make their money early in the AM. Puff Daddy and others make their money right late at night. Right. Right. So it's always knowing who you have and who you're connecting with. What would you say some of the like other than positioning, knowing skill sets, what would you say some of the challenges with collaborating that you have ever seen? You know, if you've ever done a project together at work or things of that nature, even in ministry, you've been in ministry a long time. I'm sure you've had stuff you had to kind of get with other people to make it happen. What would you say some of the biggest challenges that you've seen with trying to do collaborations?
You said it earlier. Improper expectation.
Okay.
Right. Coming in and not establishing a covenant.
Right.
You know, who's responsible for what? What is the expected outcome? You know, what do you bring versus what do I bring? Is what we're bringing together going to make us whole?
Right.
You know, if you bring, you know, 1/4 of the pie and I bring 1/4 of the pie, we still end up with half the pie.
Half pie. Right. Right.
And we end up incomplete.
Right.
And we start blaming each other.
Right.
So I think it's all about expectations. It's all about support. There's a story a reporter walks up to this man who's getting in a convertible, nice shiny convertible car. I don't even know what kind of car it was. He and his wife, white haired gentleman. His wife is white haired. They're retired, obviously. And the reporter says, he says, "What did you do for a living?" He said, I was into software." He said, "Well, what software did you develop?" He said, "You ever been to the hospital?" He goes, "Yeah." "You ever
What's up, Richard?
had a prescription, ordered a prescription?" So yeah. He said, "You ever had to pay for services with a credit card?" He goes, "Yeah." He says, I get pennies from those transactions, a couple of pennies from each of those transactions."
Wow.
He goes, "You're sitting here,
Right.
as a billionaire, and
Right.
you're saying you get a couple of pennies from the transactions?" He goes, "Yeah, but for the entire United States."
Right. Right.
And he said, "Wow." He said, "So tell me, what did you learn?" And he said, "I own the patent," is what he said.
Okay.
"I get a couple of pennies from each transaction because I own the patent
Right.
for every transaction in the United States." I'm like, okay,
Yeah. Right.
right. A little goes a long way.
Right.
So he says, "So give me one nugget that you learned about business." He said, he said, "People." He said, "Find someone that's willing to go all the way with you, that's willing to do whatever they can for you, and you do likewise for them, and you'll always be successful."
Right.
So he says, in partnership, find someone that's willing to go as far as you're willing to go,
Right.
right? And you'll always be successful. And it was so simple, but
Right.
the reality is, whatever your goal is,
Yeah.
and you have a partner, whatever partner you have is supposed to get you to whatever that goal is.
Right.
It
Right.
could be a project, one simple project, make sure they get you to the finish line.
Right.
It could be a strategy for several projects. Make sure they get you, you got the right person to get you to the finish line.
Right.
It could be for a career. I mean, whatever the case might be. You think about LeBron James,
Right.
right? And his partners. These are folks who made decisions early in life that we're going to take this thing all the way. But you're not just going to follow me.
Right.
LeBron didn't just have people following him.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had a plan for their own lives,
Right.
and they all did it together. But they went in multiple lanes. They went in multiple directions,
Right.
right? But the goal was that they were all to remain affiliated with one another,
Right.
right?
True.
So I didn't have to shoot the basketball.
Right.
That's what LeBron does.
Yeah.
What I had to do was cover him
Yeah.
to make sure I took the pressure off so that he could go shoot the basketball.
Right.
And what that became is I began to do that for him.
Yep.
Somebody saw what I did for him, and then
Right.
I began to do it for them, and that
Right.
became my focus. Keep
True.
you shooting the basketball,
Right.
right? Another
Definitely.
person says, "Well, I'm going to make sure you have endorsements. I'm going to make sure, so everybody had a different responsibility, but they all
Right.
tied in together,
Right.
So
Right.
it may have started with LeBron putting the ball through the net, but LeBron can't say to his partners, "I made you," because LeBron
Gotcha.
can't do their job.
Right. Right.
Everybody
True.
has their own and so what I'm saying is, we have to, like, in partnerships, I don't have to do what you do.
Right.
I need to do what I do and do it as well as you do what you do.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. That's good. Kaneem says, and what up, Kaneem? And what up, Richard? If I didn't say, hey, everyone has strength and weaknesses. Team up with those who are strong where you are weak. Focus on their goals just as hard as you would focus on your own. Right. And let's see. Partners could be partners for 15 years or 20 years, then break up the partnership with them, then start partnerships with new people because differences pop up. Yeah. The differences always pop up. We talked about that yesterday. There's so many groups successful, making buku money, and just either could figure out how to stick together. Them expectations and arguments and issues and just a whole
Kervay got
bunch
it
of-
right. I don't want my twin with
Right.
me.
Right. Right.
we'd never get along.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's definitely key to finding the right person to do the right job. But and I think that if anything out of these conversations, the setting of expectations has been one of the biggest, just to know what's to be expected. What do you expect out of me, and what do I expect to receive? And then vocalizing that, because sometimes what you may expect to receive may not happen. Like, I don't know if like, I know what you're giving, but I don't know if I can give you that back. So have the conversation in the beginning. So you're like, okay, so what can you give me back? So then I know this is what I'm expecting, because when I don't know, because I think it's just a lot of assumptions. Well, I just assume that if I'm doing this, you're gonna do this. I just assume that, this is what we're gonna be doing forever. Like, no, I was doing this for a year to get seen, and then I'm out. Like, I was trying to get my numbers up, and then I'm out. Like, that was my goal. That was your goal. I just assumed that you see me. I said it before in one of my videos a long time ago, and so it's like, I think it's a bunch of assumptions, because it gets exciting to collaborate with someone, especially like you're big on this side, I'm big on this side. I do all this great, you do all this great. Let's come together. But if discussions aren't had about what do we expect, how long is this partnership? For me, I saw a lifetime. For you, you saw 6 months. I'm like, wait, where you going?
But I think it's important to sit down and have those conversations. Communication is the greatest component of it, because we may desire that it lasts a lifetime.
Right.
And I think what's important to understand is our relationship, our connection may last a lifetime.
Right.
But our ability to do this together is for a season.
Yeah.
See, you have to know the difference between, and I say this often in ministry, there are connections, and then there are God connections. Right. Certain folks get with you because they can help your business grow.
Right.
God brought them, but that's not a God connection for you. To me, a God connection for me is somebody that, whether we're doing work together in ministry or not, we are connected.
Right.
In spirit. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not connected with everybody in spirit.
Right.
Even the Bible says, know them that labor among you. The reality is, spiritually, we are not all connected.
True.
Listen, I'm going to make some folks in Christ mad, because you could be a believer and I could be a believer, and we still not be connected.
Right. That's true. That's true. That's true.
I'm just, and so when it comes to business, a lot of times that's why sometimes best friends are not the best business partners.
Right.
Right.
It seems like they'd be the
Because
natural
what
fit.
makes us friends does not roll over into our business affairs.
Right.
And we have to understand that. We really, really have to understand that, because we're not going to always agree.
Yeah, definitely.
And what happens is a disagreement in business can disrupt friendships.
Yeah, it definitely
a disagreement in friendships can disrupt business.
Right.
If you have not been able. Right.
Everything's messed up.
And this stuff happens all the time. It happens every day, with people, because they have not had the right.
You ate my ham sandwich. Yeah. I ain't coming till you apologize. I ain't coming to sign that paperwork.
Yeah. So, but Kaneem said it best. You should have resources around you that can fill the gap in the areas where you're weak.
Definitely.
Definitely. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. Why? As I said earlier, everybody can't be the point guard.
Right.
Everybody can't be the quarterback.
Yeah.
Define connection.
How would you define connections? Oh, how would you define? Say preacher. Say more preacher. Would you?
Because listen, certain people are connected for a thing.
Right.
Other people are connected. Sometimes you're connected to do a thing, to do a project, to do a task.
Right.
right? Other times you're connected to fulfill a vision,
Right. Right.
right?
Right.
So they're different. There's all different types of connections. When you
Right.
look at power circuits, you know, there's all different types of power. There's
Right.
120 volt, 20 amp single phase
Right.
power.
Yeah.
There's 208, 220 volt, 30 amp, three phase power.
Right.
They all send power, but they send different types of power.
Right.
There's 208, 220 volt, 60 amp single phase, dual phase
Right.
power. There's all different types of power,
Right.
right? And see, that's Keita. That's a God connection.
Yeah.
That's a God connection.
Right.
And so I think that some people are connected for things, and you have to understand the purpose of your connection.
Mm.
That's what you have to understand. There are different types of connection. We're connected for this, but not for that. That's all I'm saying, brother.
Right. Yeah. But so how do you, I mean, like, I guess you can define most of your connections or how you connect, and what brings you together. My question, I guess, is like, with these connections, right? Like, how do you kind of define, and we talked about the different levels, the confidant, the constituent, and things of those kind of connections. Um, but sometimes you ever like, you're connected on a vision, connected on the project, but you feel so connected to them.
But
Like,
that's what I'm saying. That's that energy, right?
yeah.
Remember, I'm talking about power connections, right? I
Right.
just talked about that.
Yes.
But I can also be connected to you with shackles.
Right. Right.
I
Right.
could have a shackle around my ankle, and you can have a shackle around your ankle, and we're connected by a chain,
Right.
right?
Right.
We can't get away from each other, but we
Right.
hate the connection. We hate what has us connected.
Right.
We're still connected though,
Right. Right.
right? You want to go left, I want to go right, but that shackle,
Right. Keeps it from happening. Oh, all right. I think we could tackle that. Pastor, what's your thoughts on reconciliation and restoration? I guess in dealing with relationships, question: should people build resilience and independence and so forth? I mean, definitely, Richard. That goes without saying. People should definitely build resilience and independence and so forth, being able to survive on their own.
well, what one deals with your rebuild,
Right.
and the other deals with a relationship rebuild,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. so with those connections, right, and understanding who you connect to, it's so funny that you mentioned the power strip, and I was thinking, if my connection right now is like laptop power, I can connect to the same strip, but when I grow into a microwave power, I can't be connected to the same strip because I require more. He said, wow, like what you said. Nice.
Yes, sir.
So I think knowing when your connections have grown apart, like knowing when to sever connections, or knowing that I see that you're headed in a different direction. You've served your purpose, you've served that time. This is, now it's time for whatever God has given you, for you to go off the different direction, because we're not matching anymore. Like the time I used to give, can't give anymore. So how do you feel like, how do you end the season good? I'm gonna shift the conversation a little bit. How do you end a collaborative season good, gooder, in a good space? Hold on, before you say something, I wanted to share, like, I was listening to Future. He said he always separates personal and business. He said for him, it just never meshes. He said, it's easy for me to drop a partnership if there's no personal relationship. I can look at it, see it's not equitable, and just cut it. He said, but of course, personal, it just gets really messy, but so shifting back to the question, when the season's ending, how do you end on a better note, a more equitable note, um, where at least both parties are maybe agree to disagree, but at least there's no hard feelings. Like, because like I said, I see lifetime, you see 6 months. And if we've not had that conversation, of course, in the height of what's going on, I'm like, yeah, I can't wait till next year. You're like, yeah, I'm going this Flash. It's lonely at the top. I'm going solo, because this is the point I was waiting for, this high point, so I can fly. So, what's your take on it? Anybody else, what would be your take on that as well? Because I know we've seen relationships where I see longer than, you may have seen longer than the other person.
That's deep, bro. Because for me, and then this is just me.
Yeah.
It's always lifetime for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
if you don't do me wrong,
Right. Right.
it's always lifetime.
Right.
Right. I have, but again, I don't, like I said this yesterday, before email, before social media, I didn't write letters.
Right. Yeah.
Doesn't mean I don't love you anymore, or don't like you anymore. It's just not what I do.
Right.
Now, if I see you again, it's going to be like we just saw each other yesterday.
Right. Yeah.
But you'll be mad because I didn't call you.
Right. Or then write back.
Yeah.
Write back.
And then I'm like, but a phone call works two ways.
Right.
Then we get into who should have called who first.
Right.
And all I'm saying is, why can't we just appreciate that we've seen each other again?
Right.
Yeah. So for me, it's always a lifetime. If you become my friend, you got a friend for life, as long as you haven't, done me dirty.
Right.
But I'm a friend for life. But I get people constantly be like, man, how come you haven't called? Because I'm living my life. I got other stuff to do.
Right. And unless you like, I see you, you're part of my every day or somehow. Yeah.
Well, you didn't want to talk. Well, did you want to talk? If you had something you want to say, you could have called me.
Right.
I don't have anything to say. I don't want to call you just to be like, hey, what's up? I don't. It's just, and don't get me wrong. I have, like I told you, I got a brother who still communicates with people all the way back in Kankakee.
Wow.
That's
awesome. That's
awesome. And I'm cool with that. That's fine. It's just not me. Like I would be a stranger at my high school reunion now.
Right. Yeah.
Because I didn't keep in touch. Because I was busy living my life.
Yeah.
So what I guess my point is, I think that when you meet people, your heart should be open for a potential lifetime connection.
Right.
But you should never be heartbroken because the season changes.
Right.
Except the fact that the season is changing. And what makes it difficult is when we don't know how. A lot of times, it's funny. Why is it that if we grow apart, the connection has to snap? Right? Why can't it just thin out and stretch whatever the distance is so that there's always room to be able to come back together? Right? The end of a season does not always require a snap or a severing. Unless something has gone wrong and you just don't want to deal with them anymore. And that's the thing. I think we have to be open-minded that seasons change in every area of our lives. We feel more comfortable when seasons change by blaming somebody, by making something bad so that you feel better about walking away. Yes, Curvey. It's always a lifetime, but I can deal with. It's okay. If it dissolves, it's okay because the relationship is more important than how much money we made.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
If I
Definitely.
put more value in more attention on the money,
Right.
and the relationship goes sour, then what I've done is I've ruined any opportunity of making future revenue with you.
Right. Right. That's true. That's true.
Right. So that's why it has to be, and that's why I was talking about that retired guy. He said it's the people. It's the most important factor in successful business is how you deal with people,
Yeah.
relationships. That means more than anything
Anything.
else. I don't care
True.
how much money you make. If you don't have anybody around you,
Right.
I mean, I'm just
Right. No, it's that, and I swear the older I get, the more you really think about that. Like, when you're young, you just kind of blowing in the wind, like you said, like, and I'm like you too. Like every place, yeah, I'm gonna keep in touch. Moving on.
I don't
I
even
I,
say that.
I used to. I
Uh-uh.
probably first couple of years, we're gonna stay in touch.
I don't even like telling people I'm gonna call you because I forget, and then they call me a liar.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's
Right.
tough. It's
And
tough.
and listen, I wish I was like your brother. I wish I kept a lot of those contacts and folks I've spoken to throughout the decades. Some probably be some really good fruitful ones as well. But yeah, definitely definitely wish I had kept in contact, did a little letter writing and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's those connections, boy. Like the people, and like you said, those success isn't as enjoyable unless you have folks to enjoy it with. Have
Yeah.
people around you doing great things, and we all building together. I love the fact of the connections and the personal relationships. You said money buys friends, but not necessarily the right kind, right?
I would
Sometimes,
say this. I would say this, Rich. I don't believe money buys friends.
right,
It
right,
may buy contacts,
right, right.
but every contact is not your
My
friend.
friend, right.
Money
Yeah.
buys an entourage.
Right, right. Yeah, we've seen that over and over again, right?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
the money dries up, you find out who really were the friends,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I just, to me, I think I don't care how much time has passed.
right,
Let's not come together and be mad.
right, 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 right.
That's all. And in business, I think it means the most in business affairs because it's a very, very small world.
Right.
Very small world.
Definitely.
I remember people when I first came into this business, into the IT business, I was counted out very early on. And there are certain people who counted me out that are no longer in the IT business. And they found me on LinkedIn.
Wow.
And we're like, wow, this is what you're doing with this.
Right.
Wow. They're like, they can't
Yeah.
believe not only am I still in the business, but I have thrived
Right.
in the
Right.
business. And they off, selling life insurance.
Right. Right. Right.
One of them selling wine.
Wow.
And they couldn't believe. And I'm just like, it's all about your reputation. It's all about relationships.
Right.
It's about not burning bridges, but it's about
Right.
working on your craft.
Yeah. Definitely. That too.
Yeah.
That too.
So, there's so many facets to this conversation.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that when it comes to your business affairs, when it comes to your business relationships, Kaneem said it best. Be humble enough to recognize that it needs to dissolve.
Right.
It doesn't mean it has to be ugly.
No, not at all.
Right? There's
at all.
nothing to prove.
Right.
The best proof that could be laid out is your ability to Richard's point to restore, to get that restoration.
Right.
Within yourself. Know that you're okay. These things happen in business. We need to move on. In relationships, I've heard women say this. I've heard women say, I forgive you, but I'm just not going to deal with you anymore.
Right.
Right. I forgive you, but I'm just not going to deal with you.
Okay.
I got to jump,
Right.
man. I got another call I got to take.
All right, guys. All right.
Love you all.
Yes, indeed. Appreciate you, Pastor, being here. So today we've been talking about collaboration versus the solo journey, and just talking about what it takes. It can be, being solo, you get to make all the decisions. you deal with all the burden. Yet, you know, you don't have someone to answer to when you make any moves, as opposed to collaboration or partnerships where, you know, there has to be discussions about certain things and certain moves. And, you know, sometimes I guess it's trying to match personalities, you know, work ethic. How does one work as opposed to the other? Can you deal if they work a different way, but get the goals, get the job done? So that is the key and the question that you should think about. Or, you know, in your solo journey, just paying vendors to do certain things that you can't, instead of collaborating and offering them a piece of the pie and a part of the decision making. So he said, I'm getting better at emotional hurt, getting better at healing, but sometimes you may need therapy. Yes, indeed, Rich. I feel you on that. So I appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us. Make sure you are joining our, what's that, spliggity splow, our text community. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. Make sure you're sharing. Also, make sure you are going to the Facebook page and liking and inviting everybody that you know. I'm going to keep saying that. Go, if you need an instructional, I'll put that up, and just hit select all and get everybody that you know to know about the Brothers of Legacy. They may see the notifications, but don't worry, I'm gonna work on that part. Just help a brother out. Thank you, Mama McCoy. I appreciate you for always supporting and being here. Mark, appreciate you. Rich, appreciate you. Kaneem, my brother, we're gonna definitely talk today about some things. So appreciate you guys for being here, rocking with us, hanging with us as we go through this journey and talk about collaboration versus the solo journey. As always, continue to stay safe, make good choices, and always do the right thing. Keep wearing your mask, keep to 6 feet. You know how we do. And tomorrow's Friday, Freestyle Friday. Might do something a little different, but stay tuned. Stay tuned. Join our text community so you'll find out. All right. So we'll look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Same time, same channel. As always, we love you, but God loves you more. We'll see you in the AM. As always, we love you. Know that God loves you more. Stay safe. Thank you guys for rocking, hanging, make sure to sharing is caring. All of my replay peoples that watch in the background that I know see this show, I appreciate you as well.